During an appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert this week, Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said that the Republican members of Congress who tried to get presidential pardons should in fact be expelled from Congress. And the reason that she says this is because seeking a pardon is essentially an admission of a crime. So what she calls for first, at the bare minimum, is that obviously this needs to be investigated. And if they're seeking pardons, it's likely that they knew they had committed some kind of criminal activity, especially Matt Gaetz, who wanted a pardon that would basically cover everything he has ever done since the day that he was born. You know, not just related to January 6th. He wanted his to go back a little further. I wonder why Matt Gaetz, of course, would say, hey, could we maybe push that back a couple of years? You know, there's a couple of things happening that may need a pardon for. So yeah, I definitely think that warrants an investigation. And of course, AOC actually has the Supreme Court, at least the Supreme Court of the past, on her side. The Supreme Court ruled many, many years ago that the acceptance of a presidential pardon was tantamount to an admission of guilt. And therefore, by the way, if you accept a presidential pardon, you're admitting you committed a crime, which means you are no longer protected under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, right? You no longer have that right to not self-incriminate because you've already admitted you did it by accepting the pardon. So seeking a pardon, I know it's not the same as accepting one, but seeking one would indicate consciousness of guilt with these Republicans. And of course, you got Matt Gaetz, Mo Brooks, Louis Gohmert, Andy Biggs, Scott Perry, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Those are the ones, of course, that we know about right now, in addition to allegedly Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, who said, if the list is still a thing, I think I should be on that list for the pardons. You've got a lot of people, but of course it is the Republican members of Congress that are the most problematic. What were these lawmakers doing, aside from Matt Gaetz? We know what he was doing. Or we know what he was alleged to have been doing. My mistake. He is alleged to have been doing those things. But these other lawmakers, we know for a fact Scott Perry was involved in trying to overturn the results of the election. He was, in communication with some states, trying to get the fake elector scheme going. Same thing, by the way, with Ron Johnson, based on what we know so far. Johnson's story, of course, repeatedly has changed. He keeps saying, no, it was this. Oh, wait, no, it was actually this. So Johnson probably needs to be thrown into that lot as well, even though he's not on the pardon list. Mo Brooks, of course, spoke at the Stop the Steal rally wearing body armor. It's also been alleged that members of his staff were actually working with the Stop the Steal rally staff to help get the whole thing set up and running. So there's that. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered from these lawmakers. Brooks, of course, has offered, after being subpoenaed, he says he is willing to sit down with the committee. He's got some conditions that need to be met. And even though they're under no obligation to meet them, I do think they should. I think they should have him come in and talk. But ultimately, I agree with AOC. I think these people need to be expelled. I think their behavior after the 2020 election alone is grounds for that. If you cannot respect the institutions in this country that we use to pick new leaders, then you shouldn't be allowed to be a leader.
This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.